Hi, I'm Kirsten Wittich, and this is a summary of the play The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde. Act 1 is set in Algernon's house in the city. He is waiting for his aunt, Lady Bracknell, and cousin, Gwendolen Fairfax, to arrive. However, before they arrive, his friend Ernest comes into the home. He explains that he is here in order to propose to Algernon's cousin, Gwendolen. Algernon scoffs at the idea of marriage and refuses to give his consent unless Ernest tells him who Cicely is. At first, Ernest denies knowing anyone named Cicely, but Algernon confesses that he found the name on the cigarette case he left here the last time he was in the city. Ernest then says that Cicely is his aunt, but Algernon knows this is a lie because the cigarette case is addressed to Uncle Jack. Ernest then confesses that his name is not Ernest at all, but Jack. While in the city, he pretends to have and be his younger brother, Ernest, in order to do whatever he wants without it reflecting badly on his estate and ward. Algernon laughs because he does the exact same thing in the country. He calls it bud-bearing because that is what he goes by in the country. As they're laughing about this, Lady Bracknell and Gwendolen arrive. As soon as Gwendolen and Jack are alone, he proposes to her. She immediately says yes, saying that she always wanted to marry a man named Ernest. When Lady Bracknell returns to find her daughter engaged, she immediately starts to interrogate Ernest/Jack. She asks about his money and status, and when it comes to asking about his parents, it is revealed that Jack was found in a handbag in a train station by a wealthy man. Lady Bracknell finds this unacceptable and refuses to give her consent. Before she can leave, Gwendolen confesses her undying love to Jack/Ernest, and Jack gives her his address in the country, which Algernon discreetly writes in the cuff of his sleeve. Now, on to Act 2. Act 2 is set in Jack's garden in the country. Cicely is there studying with her tutor, Miss Prim. She leaves to go to the church, and while she is gone, Algernon enters, pretending to be Jack's cousin Ernest. They begin talking, and soon Algernon is smitten with Cicely and immediately proposes to her. She accepts, saying that she is always fond of the name Ernest, and she has always been fond of the tales and stories that have been told to her about her uncle Ernest. Jack then arrives in the morning and has decided to throw away his double identity and tell his household that Ernest has died, but his story is undermined by the presence of Algernon, pretending to be Ernest. During a temporary absence of the two men, Gwendolen arrives in order to marry the love of her life, Ernest/Jack, but instead of finding Jack, she runs into Cicely. Each one of them claims to be engaged to Ernest, and they are rightfully confused and angry. When Jack and Algernon return, they realize they have been found out and they confess to everything. At first, the girls are angry, but soon they forgive the two men and they move inside into the morning room. Now on to Act 3. Act 3 is set in the morning room of Jack's house. Lady Bracknell has arrived in order to retrieve her daughter, only to discover that her nephew is engaged to Cicely. She is delighted, but Jack refuses to give his consent until Lady Bracknell gives her consent for Jack and Gwendolen to be married. The argument is interrupted by Miss Prim, who has returned from church. Immediately, Lady Bracknell recognizes Miss Prim as the nurse of her late brother, Algernon's father. It is revealed that Miss Prim had taken Algernon's older brother one morning and never returned. Miss Prim explains that she had forgotten the baby in a train station in a bag, and when she went to retrieve it, he was gone. Which is then revealed that the bag that she left Jack in is the same bag that he was left in as a child. Now, knowing that Jack comes from a suitable parents, Lady Bracknell gives her consent to marry Gwendolen. However, Gwendolen still wants to be married to a man named Ernest, and it turns out that Jack was originally named Ernest after his late father. After finding this out, the play ends with Jack/Ernest saying, "Now I've realized that for the first time in my life the vital importance of being earnest."